been playing a tremendous amount of Maokai. People have been just leaving it open against him for whatever reason. He's like, yep, I'll take it. I'll win with it. But it's going to be first pick Zeri here for Prince. I think it's a great takeaway because DoubleLift has been so comfortable actually going towards that Zeri. But I think this is going to be an any mid because, the Lulu got locked. We've only been seeing any support, but any mid, I think actually benefits a lot more from some of these changes because a lot of it is the scaling AP, more HP on the ultimate with that. The reflective shields as well, doing more damage with more AP. So I do think it's actually a really strong pick. Very interesting because it's something that you have to play aggressively, right? You can't just sit back and farm. You're going to get outranged by a lot of champions. You want to play aggressive, look for picks, look to move around the map. So I'm excited to see what Bjergsen can get done with it.
And specifically because it's Bjergsen, whenever this guy falls under criticism, it's usually about him not doing enough proactively in the game, right? So if you're on a champion that needs to play aggro, that needs to move around and make some of these plays, we saw him do his first ever pro play career Tristana last weekend. It didn't work out very well, and so naturally those criticisms come out. Now, obviously, Annie's not the same turret-taking, hyper-scaling machine that Tristana is, but I'm excited to see what he does in this champion the same way you are because of that requirement for getting things done.
Absolutely. I'm expecting Sivir to come through. It feels like the most obvious pick, but do they want to prioritize an early jungler for ganking? So it is going to be that. That was kind of the inflection point there in the draft for me, is are they going to go early jungle? They do, which means there's going to be more bans thrown DoubleLift's way here. Lulu is already locked in. The two most common pairings are likely to not be available. I assume that Fly is going to ban out Sivir, and they already took Zeri. They do have Soraka, which is going to be really, really strong in that 2v2 against Lulu. I do give Soraka the edge in that matchup as far as the support laning goes.
And we also already have the AD carry pool pinched from the first half of draft. Remember, the Caitlyn and the Jinx both banned away. I don't really count Ashe as an AD carry anymore. She's almost entirely played as support these days. But Varus will be the next target here from FlyQuest, so doing exactly what you're talking about, zeroing in on that marksman pool. Sion and Talia are the bans from 100 Thieves, so getting rid of a couple of those ultimates that can really get you involved from across the map, make it that much easier to rotate around and make some plays, because it has been FlyQuest coordination that I think has been one of their big strong points.
Absolutely, and especially if you're going to be going an aggressive top lane pick here as well, you don't want Sion there to just neutralize the Sivir. I was getting a little bit curious, like, are they really going to leave Sivir up? Because that feels like the most obvious pairing. That is gone. There's a lot of options you can still go towards. If we think about things that DoubleLift has already played so far this split, he has played a lot of different champions. So Lucian not going to be the pairing. Varus is banned away. Zeri's taken away. Caitlyn's gone. The only thing left that he's actually played this split is Xayah. Doesn't feel like the strongest pairing, but it isn't bad whatsoever, especially against something like the Vi. So they could go towards a Xayah if they want. But honestly, there are a lot of options here. It is going to be the Xayah, though.
Yep, the Xayah locked in. It can drop the aggro from the ulti of Spica's Vi. Can have a lot of outplay potential. I mean, with the modern-day Navori quick blades that we see. Like,
I was suspicious that was going to be Oddly holding that sign. It's a comfort, DoubleLift, Bjergsen, stay for Oddly. I'm like, is that Oddly out there?
I feel like Oddly might have made and paid for the sign.
Those are paid actors in the crowd.
I don't know. I'm calling fake tweet on that one. I'm calling fake tweet. Oh, we got the Swain locked in for FlyQuest. A little bit of a death ball comp coming in.
I actually really like this because when you think about what 100 Thieves are likely to want to do, at least with what they've drafted so far. When you look at Wukong, we look at Annie, it's about going forward, it's about diving in. Swain makes it very difficult to do. As a target himself, Swain is very, very tanky generally with the builds that you're going to go, so you're not going to be able to just like one-shot this guy.
Right.
And it's also very difficult to dive past him onto someone like the Zeri. So going to be interesting to see what the fifth and final pick here is for 100 Thieves. Tenacity, I think, individually has been pretty good, but has had some coordination issues with the teams. His TPs haven't always been on point. He hasn't always been on the same page with the squad. And he does have fifth pick counter pick here against the Renekton, so needs to be able to get some sort of an advantage with that.
I like going for the Jax. You'll lose out early. Renekton's going to have those burstier trades, but as he gets more levels, Jax will just outscale this matchup like a monster.
Yeah, absolutely. I do wonder how 100 Thieves are really going to try to play out these fights, though. Because both teams have a little bit of kind of like split conditions. It feels like you have both ADs who want to kind of almost peel back, and then both jungle and top are trying to kind of dive in on the enemy AD, right? I do think Swain makes that very difficult for Wukong and Jax to really dive through him. But at the same token, FlyQuest have drafted Renekton and Vi, who really want to get in. That's not likely to be a winning fight.
And this, remember, is going to be FlyQuest's first game this spring, played with Eyla, who has finally arrived ready to show us what the intended starting FlyQuest roster was. They had to play the entire first half of the split with a backup, and they went 8-1. Not too bad, man.
No kidding. And it's a lot of pressure, I think, on Eyla as a result of that. But, I was getting to talk to Rafa, and Rafa was sending me some of his notes, on Eyla versus Busio, because these two guys actually, for summer, for most valuable prospect for the MVP award from Challenger, actually tied in voting. And there was a tiebreaker between Eyla and Busio.
How do you do a tiebreaker?
I'm not actually sure how the tiebreaker was.
Like,
it was a shootout. Yeah. They did Muno dodgeball. But they had to actually decide who was going to win. And basically the criteria for most valuable prospect is who they thought was going to bring the most wins to an LCS team, going forward. And it ended up actually being Busio that did win out. Not only because they thought he was going to be really, really having that potential to be the best support in the league, as they also thought Eyla had. They were saying that they were actually voting for Busio under the criteria of thinking he could be the best player ever in the league, not even just for support. Potential
very
go. So incredibly high expectations from all the academy folks for Busio, but Eyla was right up there with him, tied in that voting for MVP. So it's going to be really exciting to see these two guys going up against each other. And I actually got to talk to Corin Jan the other day, as well as Spawn, who was his coach and former teammates of Eyla. And they talked a lot about how Eyla, is one of those guys who, in this modern era, is kind of as close as you can get as the one-man shot caller, which is kind of gone these days, but has a very commanding voice, really likes to dictate the pace of the game, really likes to dictate, where his team is and what they are doing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can incorporate himself into a team that's already halfway through the split and top of the table.
And I'm kind of happy, unironically, not just saying this to be a meme or something, that we get to see him on Soraka in his first game, because a lot of people immediately default to, oh, it's an enchanter, show me something that you've got some like engaged skills on or something like that. But Soraka, you can really gauge how good somebody is at their laning phase by how many Qs they're able to hit, how reliably they can succeed in those trades, because it's so important. And then later on, you do have that big possible ability to make an impact in a team fight with a clutch silence. Everybody thinks Soraka and they think healing, but those silences are the things that can really just turn an entire fight and a whole game around.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can predict that Bjergsen is going to be flashing in and instantly silence him as he's coming in and he can't get his full combo out, he's just going to die and look like a fool, right?
Yeah.
So there is massive turnaround potential there. And we're also going to be able to track his positioning. How well is he able to position these fights? Because if he exposes himself to the Andy, to the Wukong, to the Jax, they're going to be killing this guy off very, very quickly.
Pretty much instantly. Up here on the top side, too, something we'll have to keep our eyes out for. Tenacity, ever since his first game of the split back against Fudge, which came down to a 1v1 that Tenacity lost by a single auto attack, he's not been afraid to go in for the 1v1s. He's not been afraid to test his mettle for those solo kills. Impact, being a veteran of the league, like, this is obviously a guy that you got to be able to have confidence in yourself and your own knowledge of damage thresholds and timings to be able to go against him. But I think Tenacity's not going to shy away from that after he gets a couple more levels and feels like he's hitting his power spike.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things, talking to some of the 100 Thieves guys before the split, that they talked a lot about with Tenacity is the fact that this guy is really confident, is willing to play hyper aggressive. He's one of those guys that will have the 10-0 or 0-10 type games in scrims because he wants to challenge himself. He wants to go right at his opponents and needs to get this wave fully pushed in and then back it up. We'll see if Impact wants to hold it. He does, but he's still relatively low HP. His jungler's coming up to cover him, so Tenacity just has to leave. There's not going to be any way for him to stay around. You got to get out of there, bud.
Yeah, Impact doesn't want to immediately dive after him because remember, Tenacity does still have the counter-strike ready to go. Meanwhile, mid lane, Vicla going to get jumped on, going to get stunned on. Closer goes forward. The auto attack from Bjergsen chases him under the turret. It's 100 Thieves getting first blood.
That was actually perfectly calculated. Closer, the fadeaway there. The last anti-auto comes through to finish him off. I thought that was just going to be a chunk or maybe a forced flash. I didn't think they were going to actually fully commit to try to be able to get that kill. And I don't think Vicla expected it either. But they are able to get in there, get very aggressive. Both top laners have TP'd straight back. Tenacity had to actually TP to crash this wave. And Impact just comes right back to try to defend the crash. And he has Tenacity in this really awkward spot where he's not all the way back to his tower. And Tenacity is very exposed to potential ganks here. He has not seen Vi, so he doesn't know if he's actually safe or not. Really, all he can see right now is the fact that Raptors are up, and just now he sees the jungler.
That's all I got.
But it's like, you saw Raptors are up, and you don't see the jungler there, you would be thinking he's topside, right? So he had to play even more scared. Now that he sees Vi, he can try to get the crash, but Impact's going to be ahead in XP and is ahead in health. So it's this awkward spot. Like, this is the worst place for the lane to be as a top laner. You really want all the way forward, but he did actually counter-strike the W there, and that's massive.
That's huge. That's how Jax can win the trades early on. If Renekton gets off the stun, he gets all 3 hits that are also stacking the Conqueror, pretty much guaranteeing that to proc immediately at the start of the fight. Jax is going to have a tough time no matter what.
Exactly. I mean, you get your full combo, and then you come out of the stun, and you pop your Counter-Strike, and then he just slice and dices away. But Bjergsen, no flash.
Oh boy, Bjergsen getting jumped on by 3. Nothing to it, man. FlyQuest get one back in the mid lane and tie it up.
Yeah, nicely done there. Going to be able to punish that missing flash from Bjergsen. Everyone just shows up mid, and you get that initial engage, followed up with the claw, guaranteed.
Both mid laners having the goon squad to back them up this time. They're just going to keep pulling more and more dudes over to mid lane, causing more and more violence, but I can get behind it. Both of these champions, you already talked about how Annie likes to play aggressive. She wants to be able to go around and make some moves. But when you're looking at Swain, if Swain gets ahead of the curve of the game, he becomes just this massive zone of control, this impenetrable wall around any big fight that the Wukong and the Jax and these champions that are trying to go forward are going to be very, very unhappy about.
Yeah, I mean, Swain from behind, you kind of just focus down and kill. Swain from ahead, you know, it hits this point where you can't kill him, but you also can't ignore him. And then you're like, okay, well, how do we play the game, right? It becomes very, very difficult to try to punch through.
And generally, the answer to a question like that would be, well, okay, maybe we have something that outranges him. Just shoot him before he can get in range. Yeah, Jax has a stick and Wukong has a stick, so I don't think you're going to outrange him.
What if you had a really big stick?
I mean, Wukong, it extends the range on the Q. The stick's still not big enough. Tenacity's just getting jumped on, blown up. Impact flashes forward in case Tenacity was going to flash as well. Guarantees the Q hits no matter what. Tenacity saves the flash, but Impact gets the kill.
Yeah, Tenacity does save the flash, but the problem here is both the deaths for the 100 Thieves soul laners were when they had no TP, so they're actually really punishing because that wave is going to crash, likely going to lose at least 1 plate, plus I think 2 full waves on the top side. So that is the CS difference here. You know, you're going to have all of that going away. It is just the 1 full wave, I guess. So there would be 1 melee that died before it. The plate does go down. The kill went to Impact. The plate is another half kill, plus the experience differential there and all the gold mist means that Tenacity is now in a world of trouble here. And Spica, the best part about it, he didn't even commit his ult, so he still has that ready to go.
That feels great on one of these champions like Vi that has such a big power spike once you unlock that level 6. So let's take another look. They were nice and patient with this.
Yep, just nicely played. You know, the wave is pushing in, Tenacity moves up, gets right in on him, stuns him up. And Spica, level 5, just follows it up very easily, hits 6 right off that. So now he has the ulti ready to go. It's not as though he hit 6, went top, spent the ult, and then now has to kind of go back to farming.
Right.
You know, he got that kill without even being level 6, and people like Bjergsen, who are going to have their flashback now, are going to start feeling a little bit more comfortable. Right. But the follow-up is very good in both of the soul lanes here. So Spica has options, right? Because you either have the stun to lead in or follow up from Renekton. You have the claw to follow up from any guaranteed ultimate stun that's going to come through from Vi as well.
Ooh, nice evasion of the stun there from Tenacity's Counter-Strike as Impact slices and dices away. Immediately heads right back in to keep trading afterwards. Total gold on the left side of your screen. It's still Bjergsen at the very tip top of the table, having a little bit less farm than his lane opponent, but there's enough minions alive that he'll be able to catch up through most of that, as well as having that early money from the first blood. He's doing all right, but it's FlyQuest who are about 1,500 gold ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Bjergsen pretty much has missed no farm when you consider the fact that he actually lost about a wave off of that kill when he had no TP. You know, he's farming very, very well.
Yeah.
Annie obviously could last hit with those Qs. You get some of the cooldown back. You know, it doesn't really cost any mana when you last hit as well. So it makes it very easy to be able to do that as long as you're not, you know, really having kind of like awkward hit point markers or whatever you want to call it on these minions. And he is obviously 6 now, so he has Tibbers ready to go. Going to be interested to see how quickly he tries to get involved. You know, are they going to try to get an early usage of the Tibbers around the next dragon or on a roam or something? Because they didn't contest the Herald on top side. Top lane is already winning for FlyQuest, and that is definitely a problem, right? If Jax gets put too far behind, the scaling is just like off the table. It's never something that's going to happen.
And you can see right now, thanks to the gold being brought up on the screen, appreciate you observers, we got about 1,000 gold advantage. Yep. It's a massive amount of EXP too, like you said earlier, from losing the wave for Tenacity. So Impact's feeling pretty great about the way things are going down up here. He'll be way ahead in terms of first item completion, mythic timing, all that stuff. Still 1,500 gold lead for FlyQuest. First Drake of the game did go over to 100 Thieves, so they at least have that to hang on to for a little bit now. But they definitely don't want to allow this to get any more out of control.
No, not at all. And I mean, you kind of just look at the plates. Every tower that 100 Thieves has actually lost a plate, right?
Yeah.
And they have not been able to claim any. And that kind of shows you how these lanes are going. Mid lane, you know, it was through that gank, of course. Top lane was through a gank, but bot lane just naturally in the 2v2. You have this Soraka, you have this winning matchup. You're going to be able to push in. Xayah kind of needs more time to really get going. Prince can just rush for the tier 2 boots here and have that non-stop shove. And they're just going to be getting a lot of gold off these pushing lanes. You know, Harold's going to be dropped mid. It's going to be another couple plates here going down.
2 plates, easy. Get in there, Shelly. Kaboom. More money for FlyQuest, 2,000 gold lead, 11 minutes into the game. He's feeling pretty great. Closer and Busio will roam up through the river, seeing if maybe there's an angle here on Vicla. As Bjergsen opens up, immediately just starts firing. Vicla with the flash back underneath the turret. He will not die, but it does cost him that critical summoner spell. Should be able to clean up Tibbers here. One more Q will take that out. 100 Thieves goes for the play there. It doesn't cost them any of their own summoner spells, but it does cost them Bjergsen and Closer's ultis. It does get Vicla's flash.
Yeah, they get the flash off Vicla, they got the ulti off Vicla, and they got the ulti off of Eyla as well, which really was able to keep him safe. So pretty good trade, definitely 400 Thieves, but some of their major tools to get aggressive are now down. And yeah, they forced some cooldowns, but they didn't get any gold from it. And that is definitely going to be the problem here is this is the difficulty when you're playing against FlyQuest is they have such strong laners across the board. They make good proactive plays. They snowball the games through objectives. And unless you have a clear way in, teams just start getting run over. Even though this game feels relatively competitive, you know, the gold lead just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Every time you make a play bot, they're taking something top. Every time you make a play top, they're taking something bot. And FlyQuest are really, really one of the best teams in the league at doing that. You know, even in some of the games where teams are getting a lot of kills against them, they're actually expanding the gold lead just by playing the map so damn well.
And you can see Tenacity has plenty of control over top lane right now, still down about 3 waves versus Impact's Renekton. Impact content to just keep farming up. Honestly, once he goes back to base, he might just be able to fully complete his mythic item. You can see that Tenacity stopped off for the completed tier 2 boots, so he's going to be a bit further behind. Only the tier 1s on Impact, so might just be able to go straight into a Gore Drinker or whatever he wants. Once he goes back, that might be why he's sticking around so long. Tenacity pops the ulti, goes after him there. Impact with a response ulti, flashes in, goes for the damage, nearly gets it. Tenacity's at 50 HP, and he dodges away from Vicla's artillery. Both top laners walk away from this one.
That's a clincher for Tenacity, man. Barely able to get out of there. Needed to stay alive. Would have been huge if he could have got that solo kill. And you got to respect that, just going right at his opponent, getting very, very aggressive there despite knowing he was behind. As you said, Impact had not gone back to base for a long time. And Impact is going to TP out towards bot, so they want to commit to playing towards this dragon. Will Tenacity spend his TP? No.
Okay, Closer's immediately going in for the ulti. Vicla's the target here on the very front lines, but he does die. That'll be the only death here so far as Ayla's going to be picked off by DoubleLift. 100 Thieves feeling good about it. Prince takes out Closer, but Spica's going to drop now too. 100 Thieves are mopping him up. Prince tries to get away, a jump back over the wall. He'll escape back to safety, but it's a 3-for-1 for 100 Thieves. They brutalized him.
Yeah, that was actually huge for them, and they didn't even spend their teleport. Jax saved his TP, just walked out, where Impact actually TP'd to that bottom lane tier 1 to try to get there faster. But the Plague swung very heavily here. It felt like, you know, 500 Thieves able to find the right angle. Ayla is kind of split from the team. Renekton is coming, but he's coming pretty late. And Bjergsen and Closer just preempt the play. They know that Renekton is TPing bot, so they just dive right in. First down Vicla before he can really get anything done. And then on the side there, DoubleLift able to take down Ayla was massive for the team. Prince is just separated from the rest of the squad. Spica goes down as Jax arrives, and Prince can do nothing but run.
And Closer's activation of the Wukong ulti interrupted the damage from Spica's Vault Breaker, stopped him from getting that momentary displacement and minor stun as well. Really nice stuff in that previous fight from 100 Thieves. And it's exactly what you said about Swain earlier, Isaac. If Swain's behind or if he's just only at the same level of the game, especially early on before he gets an hourglass or something, you just burst him down. 100 Thieves recognize this guy is not a huge force of nature to be dealing with. Just blow him up.
Yeah, and I think that really shows great understanding of the damage thresholds. And that is something that's so important. Understanding when you actually can burst this guy down versus when you can't. Tenacity could be in some trouble, but probably can walk it out, I think, at this point.
Yeah, after the Vault Breaker doesn't connect and you don't get that massive burst of damage, you're pretty safe just walking out. But your turret is not telling the same story. Plates fell about 45 seconds ago, which means Impact should be able to knock this sucker all the way down to 0 unless a lot of 100 Thieves reinforcements show up. And it looks like that's the plan. They're throwing everybody not named Bjergsen down here with this bottom lane tier 1 turret. But FlyQuest has a plan to fight back. Ayla's going to be the target here at the very start. Soraka should die before much of anything else even happens. Spica and Prince thinking about showing up as Impact retreats back to the rest of his teammates. But FlyQuest What in the world's going on, boys? This strategy is not paying off. They thought they might be able to turn it around, but they just give over some freebies, and Bjergsen explodes Vicla on the other side of the map. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and FlyQuest don't get nothing back.
100 Thieves are taking over now. They actually punished the overstay on bot side. Impact had Spica covering him, but they weren't taking account of the fact that Tenacity could be TPing in, everyone could be moving down there. And then on top side, we saw in picture-in-picture, Bjergsen was able to actually force out Vicla's ult very early, I think without expending his own ultimate, then later go back and get the kill. So let's see. This is where he forced out his ult. Did he actually use his own ulti here? I couldn't quite see that in the picture-in-picture. No, it doesn't look like it. So, oh, he did. So he's just able to pull back, wait till that expires, and then I assume just get back in on him one more time with the stun. Vicla kind of playing with fire here. When he is that low and you walk up, you're just going to get straight up burst down. Just not respecting the burst, man. And the Q range is actually pretty good now. He charges up very, very quickly. And then here again on that bottom side, Ayla's behind him, Spica's with him, but they lose track of the fact that the extra man is there. Prince is very far behind the play. You look at Prince, he's still moving down the map here through that river. Ayla has no flash from the previous play where he got soloed out by DoubleLift, so Ayla getting punished pretty heavily. And then the double root, just beautiful stuff by DoubleLift, and 100 Thieves getting stuff on both sides of the map.
So here's my problem with that play. Bottom lane tier 1 turret is 2 Renekton autos from death. Just kill the damn thing, have Renekton and Soraka walk up to where it was, and then all 4 FlyQuest men can fight the other 400 Thieves players at the same time instead of guaranteeing you lose Soraka first. Felt like the comms just sort of fell apart there.
Yeah, I think maybe just overestimating their position in the game, feeling that they could fight their way out of that a little bit more easily. Because I agree, they could have played it how you're talking about. They also, from that position, if you force one person back as Impact, you can actually walk up solo, try to knock down the tower, and at worst case, he just loses that one person if they TP on him, right? So you would still get the tower, and it'd still be a relatively positive play. Impact, though, winning out in that 1v1 still very heavily, has the Gore Drinker completed here. Tenacity went for a tier 2 boost, but also went for the Executioner here. As I think Soraka, Renekton, Swain, there's a shield bow and Zeri. There's a lot of healing, so it is pretty high value. My only question is, should it be built by the Jax instead of just the AD or someone who can apply a little bit more easily to kind of all these targets? Because I don't think Jax is going to be hitting champions like the Swain that much in the team fights, but we'll see.
I like to see the item one way or the other, but I can definitely feel the vibes of wanting it somewhere else. As Spica caught out, destroyed, blown up, eviscerated, deleted, removed, smudged from existence. What the hell was he doing there?
Yeah, he gets crushed, man. On the top side, Vicla spent his flash to actually interrupt the TP from Bjergsen, so it potentially could have gone even worse. But it does mean no flash, no ulti for Vicla. And Bjergsen's kind of just slapping him in these 1v1s now. Vicla is not really giving as good as he gets whatsoever. Bjergsen here going for a relatively aggressive build. He is going CDR boots as opposed to flat pen. So it's more just about having those abilities up, having that flash up more often to really be able to make those plays instead of just maximizing the 100-0. Did go Leandries, not going Roa. And is going to be going, pretty AP heavy build here. Just stopping for the stopwatch, but likely Zhonya's isn't going to be till much later. He just wants that for playmaking, so he can flash in, spend out all his spells, and then just go right into his Zhonya's.
And I mean, I love the fact that he's going for the more damage heavy options of things like the Leandries, stuff like, needlessly large rod, plus has the Hex Tech
Alternator, I think it's called.
Whatever.
Yep, Alternator.
Yeah. Hex Tech Alternator in the inventory. Because like you were talking about when you were discussing the Grievous Wounds purchase, there's a lot of sustain and regeneration on the side of FlyQuest, so just blow him up. If you just kill the guy 100-0, all of a sudden, there's not any problem. Yeah, just kill the guy.
What's the problem with healing? Just kill him before they can heal, Flowers.
No big deal.
Come on, you dummies.
Yeah. This is you learned this 10 years ago in your World of Warcraft championships. Just kill the healer first.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do. Kill the healer.
They've been doing that pretty well so far. Ayla has picked up a couple deaths. FlyQuest trying to actually set up for this dragon. They do have all the vision in the area. There's nothing for 100 Thieves. But it looks like 100 Thieves want to just group up and try to bully their way in. That seems very hard, though, against Swain Renekton. They're going to look for it, though.
Drake at 6,000. 100 Thieves looking for the chance to go in. They find the enemy mid laner. They're going to start off and blow him up. Tenacity grabs the kill, and focus is shifted over to Impact. The Drake is still only at about 2,000 HP, and 100 Thieves will say TY for leash. They'll secure the objective, but FlyQuest is ready to fight back. Tenacity stays alive, and Closer looks for a flank. Impact and Spica are on the run, and Bjergsen won't be able to lock him down. Now Prince is still ready to free fire, but he's still got to be mindful of what 100 Thieves might be able to turn around with. Closer Closer goes right back in. Closer goes right back out. Bjergsen's here on the front line, and Prince still wants a little bit more. But nobody's going to find anything. And now we walk away. 100 Thieves on Soul Point.
Yeah, they're on Soul Point. That is the big deal here. And thankfully for 100 Thieves, they're able to finally reset those Zeri stacks. Now, you can't go into a full run because if everyone retreats, he's just going to chase you down and kill you, right? He's going to have that infinite stack, be able to actually chase him down and get those kills. Wasn't able to do it here, though. Shadow Flame now complete for Bjergsen, so even more burst ready. And Vicla is just not tanky enough to actually survive in these situations. He's had that stopwatch forever, though, and I've got to criticize not being able to actually get the stopwatch off in that situation. I don't know if he just got stunned up with the tabbies and then because he has no tenacity, died during that stun or what. He did obviously survive the first round of burst, got his ulti off, but wasn't able to actually get in that stopwatch. And as soon as you crack that Swain early on in the fight, you can really look to push forward because it's his job to really hold this point. You want to be holding this section right here, not allowing them through. But we're just going to watch Vicla die again.
Vicla. Maybe he just gets away from this one. Yeah, it looks like, okay, Vicla's going to survive. 100 Thieves try to send the Goon Squad after him, but he does manage to use the ulti to successfully escape this time. There, hits level 10, or 10 stacks, excuse me, on the Roa, so going to make sure that that extra bit of power is fully charged. But man, FlyQuest, for a team that started off with a 2,000 gold lead at 11 minutes or whatever, 100 Thieves has done a great job clawing back against them.
They really have, and I've got to give a lot of credit to Bjergsen. I think he has been very proactive, understanding. In a lot of these situations, I think a lot of players, myself included, would shy away from spending all my burst on Swain because I wouldn't be confident that I could kill him.
Yeah.
And I think his understanding, both in lane, but also in these team fights, that he's doing enough damage to actually just straight up burst down Vicla is really what's making such a difference in a lot of these fights because they're eliminating the Swain instead of having to ignore him in a lot of different situations. And DoubleLift has quietly becoming very, very strong. We saw him in that early fight, getting that solo kill on Eyla, in that skirmish around Dragon, and he's been in that backline now with the Navori Quick Blades already done. He's gonna be really strong.
I think drain tanking is the kind of tanking that puts you on the edge of your seat the most.
Yeah.
Because against somebody who's just a brick wall of 300 armor, 300 MR, 4,000 health, yeah, this guy's really tough to kill. We'll whittle him down, like,
you don't
whatever.
ult the Ornn.
Yeah, you're never gonna ult Ornn. But sometimes if a champion is not that directly tanky, but they have that regeneration, it becomes a test of knowledge. It becomes a test of knowing exactly where that threshold is and being able to clutch that out and say, no, you're not actually a tank and I'm calling your bluff. That's essentially what it is. It's bluff calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just had a really good understanding of his damage thresholds and been able to punish time and time again so far in this game. Now working towards that Zhonya's third. He knows eventually in these 5v5s, he is going to be sending himself on a bit of a one-way trip. Yep. You're going to be flashing in there, dropping Tibbers, full round of spells, and then you actually go into the stasis and wait for your next CDs to come back up so you can get the second round of spells out. 100 Thieves have been doing a really good job fighting their way back in this, and FlyQuest, for the second time in as many weeks, are really up against it. This game, assuming that 100 Thieves are able to actually grab this soul here, goes heavily in their favor.
So what do you want to see from FlyQuest to be able to get themselves back on some good footing here in this game?
I mean, I think it's just going to be about the setup around this dragon. I think the initial vision control was really good for FlyQuest in that last one. We never got to see the full replay, though, because Vicla didn't actually get his stopwatch off, right? He died off early. So they either have to have people in a good enough position to actually support Vicla and keep him alive, or have Vicla just early on go into that stopwatch because he needs to buy time so that Prince can actually have that zone of safety. It's his job to be there in that front line, buy the space for Prince to be stacking up during that ultimate and start to run over the fight. But that is going to take some time. The longer the fights go, the better it is for them with both Swain and Eyla on this Soraka. So they've got to make sure that they're positioning well and not getting burst down to open it up.
Plus, with the Rylai's now completed as the second full item for Vicla, if you can get that 2.5 seconds of stasis, slowing down the Jax, slowing down the Wukong, slowing down the Annie as they try to move forward and attack the more valuable members of your team, that's a lot of extra space to create for Prince, to create for everybody else, to keep Eyla safe so the poor little Soraka doesn't just get exploded again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the longer the fights go, the better it's going to get for them. Soraka starts filling people's health bar up time and time again. It becomes very, very difficult to actually win those really extended fights. But if the front line cracks early, then it's going to be going 100 Thieves' way again. Prince has got to be really careful here. Wants to check for vision, but you still have that threat of getting burst down. Yeah, you can cleanse Tibber's stun, but you can't cleanse Tibber's damage.
Okay, Bjergsen stepping forward. Goes for an ulti here. Vicla's gonna be the target at the start once again, but they aren't able to find him, and now the damage on DoubleLift is done. It's enough, and they found the enemy AD carry. FlyQuest got the fight, and Vicla's not done. He'll keep running forward, controlling the fight, controlling the players on 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest just found exactly what they needed.
And that was a disaster for 100 Thieves there. Did the Tibbers not stun anybody? It looked like he tried to hit the max range on 2 people, I think.
I think it just whiffed.
Yeah.
Then DoubleLift is dead with Flash and ult both up.
Yeah, it looked like he just got fully locked down. So let's watch this one more time. I think he's trying to place it exactly between Spica and Vicla and hit both. But unfortunately, short changes on both sides. Then DoubleLift, that's a Q flash into a knockup, into an ult. Like, he just didn't get to move. You know, DoubleLift stepped a little bit too far forward there, and then he gets straight up 100 to 0 CC'd. But Bjergsen, you know, was having a great game there. One small mistake. It couldn't have been more than like a few pixels on each side.
Right.
But he stuns neither instead of going for both. And that is the risk when you try to go for that big swing. He still got a ton of damage out in the fight, but DoubleLift went down instantaneously. You know, neither of those DPS were stunned up. It really changed things.
That just absolutely flipped this game upside down. The soul stacking will no longer be one of those early win cons like you were talking about. Yes, it can still happen at any point for 100 Thieves, but FlyQuest bought themselves another 4 minutes of breathing room.
And one thing I will say, it was still a big advantage that they took those 3 dragons, because if it hadn't been soul point, then that's actually Baron for FlyQuest, right? And that would have been potentially game ending. But FlyQuest knew Closer was up, and if they went for Baron, they would give up soul. So it forced them to take the dragon, which is the lesser of those 2 objectives by far.
Yeah.
But they had to do it because of the early dragons the 100 Thieves have stacked. So they still get the advantage of having done that. And 100 Thieves are still in a pretty good position here. We'll see if they can find the fight.
100 Thieves, once again, looking for Vicla. They know that every fight they've started off killing the Swain has gone well, but they can't kill the Swain. You're only going in with 2 dudes. It ain't enough, but now they're going to find the burst. Bjergsen. Now they kill off DoubleLift as Prince goes on a rampage. Spica goes over the wall, chasing after Closer, and Prince is putting bullets in Bjergsen's back. A double kill over to the Zeri. They may have lost Swain, but it don't matter a whole lot when you're able to turn it around like this, or are they? Spica's still trying to be careful enough here. Closer may be able to get over the wall. There he goes, has the cooldown. Busio stuck underneath the turret, and Prince stuck with another bag of money in his pocket.
FlyQuest take the fight there. They did eventually kill Vicla, but the carries weren't in position when the initial engage came through. It looked like Tenacity was going forward. Bjergsen and DoubleLift were not in range, right? And the golden rule of frontlining at the pro level is you don't go in and you don't take damage unless your carries are dealing damage, right? And in this situation, they were not. So it's so much free damage put out on that 100 Thieves front line. And FlyQuest was able to last so much longer in that fight. Again, Vicla doesn't get his stopwatch off. This has to be like the 3rd or 4th death in a row without using a stopwatch.
He just likes it. He doesn't want to break it.
He's just saving it for later.
It's a family heirloom.
Grandpa gave him that stopwatch.
He's not going to break it, damn it.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, they find Vicla, and Closer and Tenacity jump in.
Look at this. This is the front line. This is the carries back here, right? Like, you cannot be going in like that unless Bjergsen and DoubleLift can follow up, and Tenacity and Closer just really went in too fast. When Bjergsen arrives, he drops Tibbers, and they actually pretty much insta-kill off Vicla, but as soon as DoubleLift comes out of his ulti, he's stunned up, he's burst down, because he has no frontliners. They took too much free damage at the beginning of that fight. And this is something that I think has plagued 100 Thieves in a lot of their losses, is that their front line is not coordinating with their back line at times, right? Closer, Tenacity go in. If they went in and Bjergsen and DoubleLift were right there, I think that's an easily won fight for 100 Thieves. But when you go in disjointed, your front line takes free damage, Vicla's getting healed up, Prince is actually stacking here with that ultimate, and he's free-firing. You're giving them way too much time.
And I think we're now getting to see the opposite side of the coin of the Swain encounter, the Swain situation. If you end up just baiting yourself into him, only getting 80% of the health bar, sorry, you just engaged a team fight that's ideal for your opponents instead. That's exactly what Vicla wants.
Absolutely. And Vicla, you know, is able to kind of bait them in that situation. Yeah, he does still end up dying. As Bjergsen arrives, he tibbers them, he gets burst down. But he's still got a stopwatch. In fact, he actually upgrades it to the Zonias now, so he has that available.
Still never broke it.
Nope, never broken.
Never broke that stopwatch.
It's pristine.
You know, if I'm the Swain and I'm 1-5, I'm chilling if my Zeri's 6-0.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you'll take this any day of the week. Sure, dude, my job's to stand here and just be a zone control tool. You go in the game. I'm just going to stand here in my golden form.
And this has been one of the things that I think really exemplifies the strength of FlyQuest as a team, is that they have actually had a number of games, not in these last couple of weeks, but in the early games, Vicla actually had a number of stinkers. He had some bad games, right? But it didn't actually matter because of the strength of the team. When one member could have a bad game, the others would be stepping up. Someone's dying in the side lane a lot for FlyQuest. Well, they're taking towers everywhere else. They're taking objectives everywhere else. People are able to really cover for each other because they have so many different strong lanes and so many different win conditions that it doesn't have to be, you know, Vicla every week. It doesn't have to be just one guy every week.
It kind of is Prince every week, just by nature of him being as good as he is. Like, it kind of is him every week.
Hey, other people are doing stuff too.
He's always popping off. Like,
doesn't have to be though.
it doesn't have to be. But it is. You know, sort of happens.
True.
FlyQuest is coming around. They're using Impact as bait and seeing if they can land themselves a big old 100 Thieves. Let's see. FlyQuest.
When the hoodie on a hook, see if they can catch themselves some 100 Thieves.
All right, let's go, boys. The TP's showing up. They wait for the TP to arrive. Now they're going in full on 5v5. Closer and Tenacity want to apply the pressure onto Prince, but he's ready to fire right on back. DoubleLift now looking to find the DPS onto the front line of FlyQuest. He gets the kill on Spica, but FlyQuest want to dogpile him. Impact still looking for a little bit more damage, and he finds it. FlyQuest rush him. 100 Thieves has one man left, and that man is a Lulu. All right, he's done.
FlyQuest TPing to top lane, double DP. They're looking to close this one out. It was close till it wasn't. FlyQuest showcasing their dominance here once again. Prince 10-0-0 on the Zeri.
Perfect chat score. No death, no assist, only kills. Getting that KDA in there. Get the orange OP.GG scores. Nexus turrets collapsing right now. We might not actually have the end of the game because Closer and Tenacity are both back alive. Prince is the only one with a decent amount of HP on FlyQuest, so we're not quite done. 100 Thieves get one more run at it, but it's
They gotta run straight to Dragon. Sprint to Dragon, try to get sold. That's 100 Thieves' only play right now. Because they have a late recall now. You're looking at Eyla, he has to base, all these guys have to base. So you just sprint there, you start up the Dragon, you hope to God you can get it, you hope to God you can get back to base, and maybe extend this game out a little bit because Soul is worth, you know, like 4K in stats. It is Cloud, so it's not exactly like the base holding one. It's more of a you're winning, you can chase people down and stuff. But we'll see if they can get it. They are trying to rush it down, but Spica's in the area. It's going to be a flip.
There's a couple of good, like, ultimate synergies there with the Cloud Soul on the side of 100 Thieves, but let's see if they can even get it. Yes, it's going to be 100 Thieves grabbing the Cloud Soul. But where do they go from here? Vicla turned up on the front. They got to try to disengage it. Prince's laser takes off half of Busio's health. Closer wants to turn it around back onto the FlyQuest AD carry, but now they got to be careful and get themselves back away. 100 Thieves lose their support. 100 Thieves lose their jungler. FlyQuest given more money. 12-0-0 now to Zeri.
Yeah, he's already full build, man. He's full 6 items at 33 minutes into the game, and this time, surely with the minions already at the Nexus, FlyQuest going to be able to march it in. FlyQuest just going straight for the throat now as Tenacity, DoubleLift, and Bjergsen will buy any amount of time they can. DoubleLift just getting dove on as Impact and Vicla and Prince are all just ready to get in there and guarantee this one ends with a dub. Tenacity's the only one left. He wants to at least get the kill into Vicla, but not even that. Another double kill, 14-0-1 for Prince's Zeri, an ace for FlyQuest, and another win for the current best team in the LCS. 9-1, the new score here. Eyla gets the dub in his first game with the squad. Has to be feeling good about that. Finally here, free from Visa jail, get the win on stage. Man, oh man. Honestly,